Christus a inviat. Well, today I'd like to talk about a novel by a Nobel Prize winning novelist who is Romanian by origin, and her name is Herta Müller. And the book was first published as Herztier, Heart Animal, Animal of the Heart, in 1993. It was translated by Michael Hoffmann as The Land of Green Plums, and here it is. So, Herta Müller, she won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 2009, is an ethnic German from Transylvania, like Klaus Johannes, the current president of Romania. She left Romania with her then husband in 1987, was allowed to leave, and ended up in Berlin, where she currently resides, as does he, although they're no longer together. So Müller's father was a member of the Waffen SS during the war, and then became a rubbish cart lorry driver after that in the communist era. Her mother was sent, as so many ethnic Germans from Romania, to the USSR after the war, and didn't return from a labour camp until 1950. So her parents had a difficult experience of the war, as did many ethnic Germans. The problem of the book, I think, is essentially about the problem of being an ethnic German in Romania, because a little bit like the situation of the Magyar, the Hungarians, they feel perhaps a closer affinity to Germany than to Romania. But when they go back to Germany, as she has done, she is not regarded as being German. She is a Romanian in Germany. So in a sense, they are stateless people. The Land of Green Plums is a book about persecution. Initially, it's a book about persecution within a village. She lives in a small village where you have to adhere to the norms and ideals of the Germanic folk who run the village. And then she's persecuted politically in Romania. Müller herself, it does have autobiographical elements, and she's been interviewed about that in Germany, and I'll say a little more about that. She read German and Romanian. She learnt Romanian at school. She didn't learn Romanian at home. And she talks about the interesting differences between the languages, and I'm not here to talk about that, but there are some very interesting differences between the two. So German was her first language, but she studied German in Romania at the University of Timișoara, which is in the west of Romania. And she herself is from the county of Timiș. She formed a group calling for freedom to write what she wanted, called Actionsgruppe Banat. Banat is the area, in the larger area within Romania from which she comes, Action Group Banat, and was consequently interrogated, investigated by the Securitate under the Ceausescu era. Perhaps I should have said she was born in 1953. What's the book about? Well, it deals with a series of transient relationships and a group of ethnically German students and the difficulties they face living under the Ceausescu regime. One girl, Lola, who is in the student dorm at the beginning of the book, has a series of fleeting relationships with men who go and work in the factory. She finds this unsatisfactory, joins the Communist Party, but ultimately commits suicide and leaves her diary to the unnamed author. They read her diary along with some other books which are banned in the Romania of that time. Letters from home are interesting. Her mother writes to her about the difficulties that her political views are causing and urges her not to desist from them because these are causing great difficulties. The parents have trouble. They have to hide books. They have to hide the German books that they're reading, and they hide them in a summer house in the town where they're living and then meet up to read them. This reminds me of people I know. I know many people in Romania who, both before and after the revolution, had to hide books from both sides, both viewpoints, because it would have led to difficulties for them living here. Well, their actions come to the attention of the Securitate, and she's investigated by Captain Piele. All of them eventually lose their jobs, the 4 friends, who become 5 because there's another girl who joins their group called Teresa. Georg, one of the friends, manages to move to Germany, but as I was saying, feels unhappy in Germany, being viewed as a Romanian in Germany, and commits suicide by jumping out of a flat. The narrator and Edgar are threatened and move to Germany in the end, but even in Germany they're not safe because the Securitate follow them to Germany. Her final friend stays in Romania, Kurt, but also commits suicide. Her friend Teresa visits her in Germany, in Berlin, and this friend Teresa is based on a true friend Herta Müller talks about. She says she was the person she loved the most, but once she managed to see her passport, and there were many stamps from many Western countries in the passport, and this proved at that time that Teresa was working for the Securitate, and she admits this to Herta Müller. So, what is the significance of the title, The Land of Green Plums? Well, this is a title chosen by the translator, but really the significance is that green plums are not good to eat. Children are told not to eat green plums because they make you ill. And yet throughout the book, the police, the Securitate, stuff their pockets with green plums before they're ripe. And it's a metaphor for gluttony, for stupidity, for brutality, and is ultimately a symbol that the Securitate are destroying a nascent society. It's a very moving book. It's told in a series of flash forwards and flashbacks, and it's the book that was named when she won the Nobel Prize. So I can recommend it. Herta Müller, The Land of Green Plums. And the 2 authors I've talked about so far show you the extraordinary ethnic diversity of Romania. We will be looking at 2 other authors later this week, one of whom left Romania, one of whom still lives and writes here. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you enjoy reading some books by Herta Müller. La rivedere.